this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Viola Davis is currently starring in The Woman King. This is a historic film about the Agoji, and I'm sure I didn't say it right. This is the all-female warrior unit who protected the West African kingdom of Dahomey during the 17th to the 19th centuries. It's set in the 1820s, and Viola stars as a general who trains the next generation of warrior women to fight their enemies. The movie came out Friday, September 16th, 2022. It has received positive reviews for the cast performance, for Viola Davis' starring role, and for the action choreography. One critic said that it is Viola Davis' career best. Another said that Viola Davis truly gets to flex the full range of her acting chops. A performance of this caliber is rare in what's essentially an action flick. So Viola Davis is an action hero in this movie. Viola Davis herself says that this is the movie that defines her career. She's given several interviews promoting this movie, and it is clear that she is very proud of her work in this movie. She's very proud of being able to get this movie off the ground. Viola Davis is a champion of dark-skinned black actresses because she has had to fight for her place in Hollywood. And she understands the fight, and rather than rest on the success that she has earned, she's still fighting the fight. She and her husband are co-producers of this movie, and she said in one of the interviews that when they took this idea to the studios, people who make the decision about whether or not a movie is going to be made, they wanted to change the characters, the women warriors, into light-skinned women. Well, anybody with any common sense knows that in the 1820s, West African women in Dahomey would have been dark-skinned and no mixture, all coffee and no cream. So she said she fought for that. And this is a fight that she takes on all the time, and I really admire her for that. But she's very proud of the movie, and in the first showing, I think one night it made $1.7 million in Canada or somewhere like that. So if that's an indication of what it's going to do in the United States, it'll probably do pretty well. Now, The Woman King reveals our African history. I'm not sure, it's a movie, so it's not going to be exact, but it gives an idea of what Africa was like before and during the slave trade. What the movie doesn't highlight, it doesn't focus on, from what I have been able to see, is the role that these women warriors played in capturing other Africans and selling them into slavery. The movie is set in the 1820s in Dahomey. Dahomey is modern-day Benin, and it is located on the west coast of Africa. Historically, Dahomey was a kingdom that conquered other African states and enslaved their citizens to sell in the Atlantic slave trade, and most of the kingdom's wealth was derived from slavery. The Agoji, these women warriors, had a history of participating in slave raiding. Now, it has to be said that those women were not selling the slaves. Those women were not selling the African people to the white people. The king was doing that. King Gizo. From 1818 to 1860, Gizo was their king. He was a notorious slave trader. Of all of the African kings who participated in the slave trade, King Gizo was probably the worst. Even after the British Empire stopped Dahomey from slave trading, he continued to do it. He did it undercover. And for this reason, some African Americans believe that African Americans should boycott this movie. For this reason and other reasons. The reason that they are giving is that this was a major slave trading country, and it was. We say we want the history, and then the history comes out and we boycott it? I don't think that's the answer. The function of these women warriors was to protect the king and the kingdom of Dahomey. I don't think that this movie focuses on their slave raiding past. I think it's just about them trying to save their kingdom now, because after slavery ended, Dahomey's economy crashed because their major source of wealth was selling slaves. Their kingdom was weakened because they had sold off the best and the brightest of their citizens. So their economy was in decline. But guess what had happened? They had allowed the enemy to come in. And the enemy saw resources, natural and mineral resources, that they hadn't seen any need to cultivate. That it was easy just to attack other villages and go into other areas of Africa, attack people, and sell them off to the white people. So that's what they specialized in. Now the white folk had to stop them from selling their people. White folk had to stop them from attacking and selling their people. You do have to wrap your head around that. But after they stopped doing that, the white people saw an opportunity because Africa is rich in natural and mineral resources. And the white folks saw that. And so they thought, well, these people are easy to take. Because again, they had sold off the fighting power. So now they have to fight with women. They had men in the army too, but they had to use the women for real now because they had sold off the manpower. And they were just left in shambles. So the Europeans came in and took over, not only in Dahomey, but all over West Africa. Dahomey never really recovered. They started trying to sell palm oil, and they didn't have nearly the success selling palm oil as they had in selling slaves. But they had allowed the enemy in, the Europeans. They had allowed the enemies in, and now you have these women warriors trying to fight off those invaders. But they were not successful. Because after all that they earned and all, they didn't really gain anything by selling their people, because what they did was they weakened their kingdom. And this is not in the movie. This is just what I know from the history of it. They weakened their kingdom. And so they were going to call themselves, going to try to fight the Europeans, the French, who they ended up trying to fight, and they lost. And France came in and colonized that area, changed the name from Dahomey to Benin, and they're still in a mess to this day. So that slave trading that they did not do them any good. None of them did any good by selling their people, because the very people that they sold their people to, and white folk couldn't make any money by selling slaves anymore, then they turned on them and started robbing them of their resources, because Africa is rich in natural resources and mineral resources. And so the Europeans just took over. This is another segment of our history that would give context to who we are. So the movie doesn't state this, but since we're on the subject, I guess I'll just mention it. The transatlantic slave trade wasn't just about white people going into Africa and capturing and taking Africans into captivity. Africans did that. They raided the villages, they shackled the people, and they marched them down to the coast where those forts were and put them in those dungeons until it was time for them to load those ships. And the result of that was that when that ended, after the white people made them stop doing it, then the white people, realizing how weakened and wicked they could be, decided to go in and take over. Now, that's one interpretation of that. The British journalist Zinab Badawi, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing her name right, she did a series on the history of Africa, and she did the entire continent. When she went into West Africa, she went to the country of Benin. Benin used to be Dahomey. And she interviewed the descendant of one of those slave trading kings. And she asked her, what does it feel like to be the descendant of a slave trader? And the woman replied, I would rather be the descendant of a slave than the descendant of a slave trader. So that history has stayed with them and haunted them just like it has done with us. Back to the women warriors. They were protecting the king and the kingdom, but those women warriors were not negotiating with white people. They were not selling their countrymen. The king was. Now, who were these women? Who were these women warriors? Well, based on what I've read, these were women that were considered unattractive. They may have been orphans or from poor families. or they could just be low self-esteem women who didn't know where they fit. So they found this place where they fit in. And it has been pointed out by the Benin historians that these women were not LGBT. That is not what they were about. For those who want to jump up and call them masculine, they were not. They were honorable women who were serving their king and their country. And though there might be parts of the movie that's not historically correct, these women warriors were real. So The Woman King is about these West African women warriors who are trying to save their kingdom from invaders. I do intend to see the movie, and then I'm going to do a proper review of the movie. Now, there are African American men who want the movie boycotted because of Dahomey/Benin's slave trading history. I respect any African American who has a problem with what happened to our family members in Africa. I understand that. But I don't believe that boycotting the movie and not learning about the history is helpful. Another thing that these men seem to have a problem with is that Viola Davis is calling herself a king, a woman king. And there they go with that black women being masculine and masculine this. And I have come to the conclusion that for some black men, anything that black women do that they don't like, they're going to call her masculine. Because that's a fighting piece for them. But Viola Davis is an actress, and she has to go after things that move her and things where she feels like she can do her best work. Also, this whole thing about this masculinity in black women is getting very tiresome. And for that reason alone, I wouldn't boycott the movie because I'm just really tired of it. I think it's overdone. It's really overdone. White women out here doing all kinds of stuff. And nobody called them masculine. I heard one guy say, oh, they don't ever portray white women as masculine. Well, white women portray themselves as masculine on a daily basis. I need to see your papers, Negro. That's very masculine. So I think that part of it doesn't bother me at all, because some people just won't have something to complain about. Because at the end of the day, black women might just have to be the king of us because, somebody's got to care and somebody got to do the work. So I don't have a problem with her calling herself a king in a movie if that's what she wants to do. And also, I believe in the integrity of Viola Davis. I do not believe that she would do something that would be hurtful or detrimental to African Americans. I'm happy for her that she has found the movie role of her life, and I absolutely intend to support her. And when I see the movie, I will do a proper review. If I think that there's something damaging or harmful about it, I'll say so. Otherwise, I expect it to be a good experience. Okay. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.